Okay, so you want the real story, the key takeaways, but you don't have time to read everything. Perfect. You're in the right place.
Hmm.
We're doing a deep dive today into all the buzz around the new film Sinners. It's the latest from Ryan Coogler, starring Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, and for this one, we've gathered some really interesting perspectives. We've got a review from the Rice Thresher, that's Rice University's student paper,
Okay.
plus an Associated Press article with Coogler and Jordan actually talking about the film.
Oh, great. Interviews.
Exactly. And then there's a Reddit thread digging into the box office numbers and articles from Hypebeast and Screen Rant covering that side of things too, the financials, the audience scores.
Got it. So our mission here is pretty clear, right? We want to unpack what makes Sinners so noteworthy.
Right.
We're talking about its like unique mix of genres, how it unexpectedly smashed at the box office, and maybe some of the deeper themes the creators were exploring.
Sounds good. Where should we start? The originality seems like a big talking point.
Yeah, let's jump in there. That Rice Thresher review really praises it for being original, saying it bridges the gap between being a big blockbuster and something genuinely new.
They even compared it to Jaws, didn't they?
Yeah.
In its ability to kind of stun the audience.
That Jaws comparison, wow. What do you think they mean by that? Is it the tension or just the impact?
I think it's the impact, yeah. And maybe the way it builds that dread, like even though they're totally different film, maybe both just masterfully tap into something primal, some kind of unease in the viewer.
Makes sense.
And Sinners seems to do that with its own specific mix of stuff.
Yeah, that mix. The AP article really gets into that. They list like supernatural horror, gangster drama,
A
romance.
blues musical.
Right. And action. It sounds like a lot to balance.
It does. And the AP points out something key. This is Coogler's first completely original script.
Ah, okay. Not based on a comic or anything.
Exactly. So maybe that gave him the space to, weave all these threads together in his own way.
So, moving on from just the genre blend, the characters and Michael B. Jordan's performances, I guess, seem to be a big draw.
Yeah, playing twins, Smoke and Stack. Set back in 1932 Mississippi. Screen Rant mentions this too, how they come home to start a juke joint.
And that Rice Thresher review, it really highlights the nuance there, doesn't it?
It does. They praise Jordan for making the twins feel really distinct, not just the same guy in two roles. And they credit Coogler's script for giving him that foundation.
So it's not just spectacle, there's real character work happening.
Seems like it. But setting up that juke joint isn't smooth sailing, right?
No, apparently not. The Rice Thresher says around the halfway mark, some kind of evil force shows up.
Ah, okay. Threatening their whole plan.
Yeah, and that sounds like where the horror really kicks in.
Definitely. The review calls it an intense horror picture. And the comparisons they make are interesting. The Thing, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Whoa, okay, those are some heavy hitters in terms of visceral horror.
Right. So it sets expectations. The review mentions Coogler, using things like one-takes, jump scares, foreshadowing, all to build that tension.
Sounds like it works. They talk about a deep-seated unease running through it.
Yeah, and stunning visual effects. Apparently quite grisly violence, too. It's not holding back.
But it's not just scares, is it? There seems to be more going on beneath the surface.
That's what the Rice Thresher piece argues. They connect the 1930s setting to deeper themes. They see it as a kind of allegory.
An allegory for what?
For the, quote, unyielding siege against black communities in America, using Gothic mythology and period details to tell that story.
Gothic mythology? Like supernatural elements representing real historical struggles?
Sort of, yeah. Weaving those classic dark supernatural tropes into the very real history of the time, it adds another layer entirely.
And the blues music is key to this.
Apparently so. The Rice Thresher notes how the music, by this character Sammy, reflects the community, but also, maybe accidentally, attracts the danger.
Huh. That's interesting, like art being both powerful and vulnerable.
Exactly. The review even hints it might be a commentary on Coogler's own work, or maybe the appropriation of blues music itself. Lots to unpack there.
And Coogler himself has a personal link to this period in music, right?
Yeah, the AP interview mentions it. His uncle was from Mississippi, part of the Great Migration, and left him blues records. That was part of the inspiration.
Wow, okay. That makes it very personal.
And Jordan, in the same interview, talked about how making the film gave him a much deeper understanding of the Jim Crow South and the blues. So it clearly resonated with the creators, too.
Even the title, Sinners. Jordan mentioned in the AT piece how it explores judgment in America, especially in the 1930s South.
Right, but also highlighting the the strength and dignity in the art that came out of that time, despite everything.
So it's juggling a lot. History, culture, horror, character.
Pretty ambitious.
Yeah.
Which brings us to how audiences reacted. Let's talk box office.
Yeah, let's shift gears because the numbers are pretty impressive. Reddit was buzzing, Screen Rant, Hypebeast, everyone reported that #1 domestic debut.
$45.6 million, right? Beat out a Minecraft movie, which was kind of the expected winner.
Exactly. And what's really striking, something Reddit and Screen Rant pointed out, is that this is the biggest opening for an original movie since Us back in 2019.
Jordan Peele's film. Wow, that's significant. People clearly showed up for something new.
And not just here. Globally, Screen Rant said it opened with $61 million, making it one of the highest-grossing movies of 2025 already.
That's a strong start. But the audience scores are maybe even more interesting.
You mean the CinemaScore?
Yeah. Hypebeast and Screen Rant flagged this. It got an A CinemaScore.
Which is good.
Right. It's really good. But here's the kicker. It's apparently the first horror film ever to get an A.
No way! Seriously?
Seriously. Think about it. Even huge hits like Get Out or A Quiet Place Part 2, they topped out at A-.
Wow, so audiences didn't just go see it, they loved it. That suggests really strong word of mouth.
Absolutely crucial for its legs. And Screen Rant adds that it's the 9th best domestic opening ever for R-rated horror. And the biggest Easter weekend opening for an R-rated movie, beating Panic Room. So, yeah, setting some records.
But there's always the budget question, right? How much did it cost?
Good point. Reddit threads and Screen Rant mention a $90 million production budget.
Okay, so $90 million, that means it needs to make what?
Well, the general rule of thumb is maybe 2.5 times the budget to break even, accounting for marketing and distribution. Screen Rant puts that potential break-even point around $225 million worldwide.
So great start, but still got a ways to go to be profitable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the audience seems broad. That Reddit discussion mentioned the demographics.
Right, I saw that. Nearly 40% Black audience, 35% white, 18% Hispanic, 5% Asian. That's a pretty diverse crowd.
Definitely helps. And another interesting tidbit from Reddit was about how people watched it.
Oh, yeah, like streaming versus theaters?
No, like which theaters?
Yeah.
45% of sales were from premium large formats, Dolby, 4DX, that kind of thing.
Right.
And another 20% from IMAX.
So almost 2/3 of the audience paid extra for the big screen, big sound experience.
Seems like it. Suggests people really wanted that immersive horror experience, which probably helps that word of mouth too.
And it all comes back to Coogler and Jordan, doesn't it? Screen Rant and the Reddit posts really frame them as this powerhouse duo.
Yeah, like rare talents who can actually get audiences excited for original ideas, not just sequels or franchises. That's pretty valuable in Hollywood today.
For sure. And wasn't there something unusual about the rights deal?
Oh yeah, that detail from Reddit.
Yeah.
Apparently Warner Bros. Agreed that Coogler will eventually get the rights to the film back himself after 25 years or something.
That is unusual. Shows a lot of faith from the studio.
Huge faith in him and in the film's potential long-term value.
Okay, so wrapping this up, if someone asked you for the quick download on Sinners, what are the main things they need to know?
Well, I'd say it's this really compelling mix. It's an original horror film, first off, blending genres in a pretty unique way.
Right, not just one thing.
Exactly. Strong performances, especially Jordan playing twins. It digs into some deep themes about American history, culture, race, oppression, resilience, all through this horror lens.
And it had a killer opening weekend. Huge box office, plus that unprecedented A CinemaScore for a horror movie.
Yeah, audiences seem to be connecting with it on a massive level. It's kind of the whole package right now.
Okay, so here's something to think about as we finish up. How does deliberately mixing horror with specific cultural and historical settings change how a film hits you? Like, what makes that blend so powerful, so thought-provoking, compared to maybe more straightforward horror?
Yeah, does grounding it like that give the scares more weight or make you think differently?
Right, and are there other genres out there just waiting for this kind of reinterpretation? Could you blend, say, a Western with specific immigrant history or sci-fi with ancient folklore in a similar way?
Interesting question. Lots of possibilities.
Definitely something to chew on. Maybe this makes you want to check out Sinners if you haven't, or even dive into some of that 1930s blues music that clearly inspired it so much.